As you approach one of the main points of entry to Stockholm, Frihamnen, and the giant cruise ships greet you at the port, you would be quick to think that this is just like any other industrial complex. Plenty of wide roads, tall cement silos, and dozens of brick buildings all around. But there's something hidden in this concrete jungle that makes it worth a double take. Turning the corner, you'll be surprised to notice an explosion of color, which, as the average Stockholmer would note, you're not so used to finding in the city's prim and proper public spaces. In fact, what if I told you that this place is unknown to most Stockholmers I've spoken with? I figured for such a vibrant pop of color, there ought to be a bigger spotlight on this site. And thus began my journey into the interesting community of Blivande and Frihamnstorget. I was curious about how such a place existed quote-unquote silently in Stockholm, and so I felt the need to investigate further how it came to be.
So Blivande is an urban community and a project. It's many things. It's also a business. We are a place that tries to get creative people together. We're trying to create an environment where creatives can develop their crafts and find a home and a place to relate to other people.
That's when I started looking into it and understand.
There was never a predefined idea. There was some predefined idea of Blivande, but that changed over time. So the place evolved around us, and this constant experimenting of it, which was the interesting part. That to have a space, have a project that can change, that can evolve, that can have new challenges, that's what drew us to develop this space and continuing and developing it and seeing where it becomes, because Blivande is becoming. That's what it means. Like there is no predefined thing that, oh, this is Blivande, I want to work in this place because of that. It's the development of what you can make of it.
One may say that Stockholm's cultural scene is refined, structured, and deeply influenced by Scandinavian jantelagen. This notion that one must not be too braggy about that which one does well. Although Stockholm famously excels in all types of cultural endeavors like music production, design, and literature, its cultural scene doesn't feel as visible or as celebrated. Perhaps we need a better picture of what local artists and entrepreneurs like the ones working from Blivande and Frihamnstorget bring to the local cultural scene.
Blivande is 4 parts. Either they can become a part of running their office up here, running their business. Usually we have architects, we have IT developers, we have photographers who sit up here that also have then access to the second part, which is the atelier. One can also only be a member of the atelier space, where we have workshops, we have 3D printers, laser cutters, or either get their own container and become a part of the container builders and run their own company, run their own dream and their own project there. What differentiates Blivande with a lot of other spaces is that we combine both people that are doing things here as a hobby, as an amateur, both people that are artists, and also people that are running commercial business, they're running their own entrepreneurship. And the combination of that creates very interesting interactions. Of course, the last and the 4th project is to come here, either do events with us, or do parties, or do cultural things, or do musical projects, or theatrical projects, and so on.
I've been a member since last summer, but I've been around Blivande more or less a couple of years. Blivande has a history where It was new then before that, so it has been like developing out from something to something else. The community itself is connected to the burner community, and that's kind of like how I came into it. When it was time for me to find like a working place, then this was a no-brainer because of the community that runs it pretty much.
I came here for an internship in order to support the community in several areas. I choose this community because I had the desire to become part of a cultural center and join the team of a cultural center. And I was looking for a cultural center that is more not conventional and has more creativity and openness. And I found this in Blivande. It seemed like a place and a playground for my own imagination.
I've been interning here at Blivande for about 2 months now. I'm part of a gap year program that partnered me with this company, and I've been working here doing different stuff. We have worked on an art exhibit / workshop called Odyssey, which is space themed, which went through themes of identity and just finding yourself through space. We wanted to make a space that was cozy and invited people to have fun and relax. We worked on the promotions for it, we worked on graphics and the entire concept for it.
We have a house here in Frihamnen, and next to the house we have a container park with around 30 container projects. There are very different things, from a bakery to artist studios, some offices.
We chose this place because we've always been with this community for a long time. I like something that you have no idea what's going to be on the inside. So on the outside is this grey, dull box, and on the inside is yellow and glitter and art and beauty and elegance.
Perhaps you'd be surprised, like I was, to hear that this container village was the first of its kind to get a permit approved in Sweden. Why? It turns out that prior to 2022, when Frihamnstorget was finally granted their permit, it was not possible to get a flexible building permit. The community here wanted Frihamnstorget's permit to allow for continuing organic development of the project over the next couple of years, as opposed to a more static and permanent plan. This project, thus, is meant to inspire other civic organizations to dare to contribute to innovation and new ways of doing things from a regulatory point of view. Since its modest beginnings as a parking lot with a handful of containers, this true third place and cultural meeting point has now expanded to 3,000 square meters and 50 containers, owned mostly by small business owners, artists, and craftspeople.
You can adjust it if you want to. One level from them. That is one.
Yeah, you like a beautiful day in August. I get lost in your frequency when I'm not recording. Like we could do this frequently and end up like the losses. You knows that I got you like you got me every so often. I'm into your passions like what should I invest in? You don't need a camera like to show off your perfection. Standing in a mirror like damn that just cuffing in those jeans and I'm genuine.
You look so proud. Wow, look at you.
I am like that.
If it was so important to maintain this project in a state of always becoming, that the Community Challenge Convention by setting a precedent and a historic new type of building permit, I figured I needed to hear more about what members thought of the role they played in co-creating this space.
I'm a writer, a creative writer, so I came here to do an internship in narrative design for video games. That was my purpose for coming here in that sense, and then that has developed into different kind of writing jobs. Here also we have a organized breakfast once a week, and that's me who is pretty much hosting that.
I have this little project here which used to be called the Secret Experience, where people would come for dinner and they would be invited by 3 people who would show up at the doorstep dressed in costumes and playing music and a flute and reading poetry. And then they would give them a bite to eat. And then they would get an invitation to this dinner. And then we'd have an evening called Senseless, where we try and wash away all the grime of the city and of life, so they are completely open and fresh and new. And then we build on them with food, and make them senseful. It was really like fine dining without the rules. That's what we wanted to achieve.
Stockholm has plenty of offer when it comes to high-quality theater, film, and art, but its underground scene and artistic endeavors are often more exclusive and regulated, especially when you contrast its cultural scene to other European capital cities. It begs the question, if Stockholm is as progressive, inclusive, and diversity-friendly as it seems, then why is its cultural vision so limited? And how does a community such as Blivande's fit into all of that? What does it take to run a community like this one?
We kind of run it like a law firm. So we are 4 managing partners that are active day to day. I run the social medias, for example, community management, all the different internship programs that run through this place. And then I also run my own projects. I'm also really into networking, so I try to get different organizations, especially around the topic of civic action and placemaking together here in the space. So I have different projects where we invite other organizations for a casual coffee or sometimes a bigger meetup to talk about industry struggles and joys.
We do everything. We change all the time our work scenarios. We work with all the projects. It's very difficult to say what we do. One day we could work with a co-working space, one day with Frihamnstorget, one day with events, one day with economics, one day with juridical stuff. So we are practically in all areas of the project in some way.
Now I'm more enrolled in helping with the event production of Valborg, or big festivals, small-scale festivals, or small-scale events. We try to activate the place and the community through art events and fresh perspectives of people that come from different walks of life and want to put something and bring something new in that place.
Of course, I couldn't miss out on the fun, and decided to tag along to see what was happening beside House Blivande. So I'm here today at Blivande. This is a community of artists, creatives, and also changemakers, community changemakers. So we are going to see how they're preparing for one of their biggest events, Valborg, and it's really exciting to see them putting it all together. So we shall see how it works. Yeah, let's go. How long have you been with this community?
3 years.
Wow, okay, that's a long time. What's your favorite plant to cultivate?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes? Why?
Because lovely to eat, but also very lovely to take care of. The smell from the leaves.
Yes, I love that smell of tomatoes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So Valborg usually launches the summer area, or like the outside area for Sweden. In some way, we have this in the winter time, it's more closed, and we have this production time where people are building their containers. And as you know, the weather here is with a lot of snow and so on. It's difficult to have events. So Valborg becomes this first time of the summer season when the space opens up. and becomes also a symbolic time when the new developments are shown, like what has been worked through the last year needs to be ready for Valborg. The best way to do that is bum out with a big event where you invite a community, you invite people around, because that's one of the very important things when you run such a place, is to involve your neighbors, involve the people around, and make them involved in what is this place with a lot of containers. It must be open, it must be inviting, otherwise people wonder, why is this here? So by involving them, you also get their interest up.
Yeah, so this one is...
I'm beginning to understand a bit better what Blivande is all about. But I still couldn't quite get one thing. Why can we not find more projects like these in Stockholm? What are some of the main barriers or challenges threatening Blivande's own existence?
A part of the economical challenges, you have to deal always with very different scenarios and situations with people. You know, we run a place that's both a co-working office space, both an atelier space, both an event space, both an entrepreneurial like art small village outside with containers, and you have people with special and different needs all the time. That's also the difficult but also the fun part, when you manage to remove drama and suddenly make people work together.
It's a very active community in the sense you can really tell that people want things to happen. It's like people who get very bored in case that things are not happening. Yeah, it's a definition of being creative to some degree, that when nothing is happening, then you make sure that something is happening. And you want it to be beautiful and you want to have an open mindset about things. So that's why a lot of people here go well together, because it's people who have kind of a longing for that kind of mindset. And it's a mindset that is lacking in society in general, because society has a tendency to be a little more close-minded. And here it's rather the opposite, where people actually open up the space. It's very welcoming. It's very beautiful. People are making sure that it's a nice place where you feel like people actually care if it's beautiful or not. And that's really hard to find somewhere else. That kind of friendliness, open-mindedness. It's a place to be surprised daily.
I think Stockholm has a very conservative cultural landscape, and a place like Blivande is kind of a dot of chaos in a very structured system. I think a place of organic development and a little bit of like crazy experimentations are needed for many different reasons, for artists to experiment in their crafts, to feel that they're in a safe space to do so. We have so many people that when they visit the square, they say that they feel like they're in Berlin, they're in Amsterdam. Like, why do you have to feel like you're abroad? Because you have a certain vibe, a certain feeling in your city that you otherwise don't find in Stockholm.
So it seems to me that Blivande is true to its name, as every one of its members, both past and present, who come and go with the seasons, contributes to what the space and the place eventually turns into. You can only define Blivande by its pluralist perspective on what genuine, creative, and artistic expression looks like. And as cultural workers, community centers, creative spaces, and other third places in our society see their government subsidies drastically cut in recent years, we, as local residents of Stockholm, must support projects like Blivande's in our communities, so we may enjoy and share them for generations to come. Because a city without culture isn't a city that people like to visit or live in. And a collaborative initiative without community can't thrive on its own. The real need here, as Blivande shows so well, is to come together in all of our glorious diversity and difference of opinion, and constructively collaborate with each other on civic and social matters. Although I had pulled the curtain ever so slightly on the secret hiding in plain sight that Blivande proved to be, while being warmly welcomed by its open-minded community, I still felt that there was a bit of its magic I did not quite manage to capture. So as a parting note on my investigation into what Blivande truly stands for, I asked some of its contributing members to tell me in their own words what makes this place so special.
I think Blivande has already helped me to become more open to people and to diversity, and being less judgmental to something that is completely different to what I am. And also it helped me expose myself to different art fields and different artists.
I think this was a perfect fit for me. I love the space here and I love the people here. It's exactly the type of environment that I think I thrive in the best, and allows me to be creative and just facilitate my own things.
The reason why so many people like Blivande, because it's rooted in cooperative, participatory culture. Participatory culture comes from the idea that there are no spectators, but participating members. And that's the same idea that goes here.
And of all the words Blivande reminded me of, and all the ways I failed to describe it to friends and strangers ever since, I would never dare to reduce this community and space to a single noun or adjective. But I can tell you what it felt like. Because Blivande is more like a feeling. A feeling you can't quite hold on for too long. A very real and genuine feeling, one that stays with you long after you've left through the open gates of its community and said your final goodbyes. And that feeling, that transformative and gentle way of the artist, the creative, the maker, and the organizer to bring together people in new spaces and places and put names to new faces, that feeling of belonging is not only rare in Stockholm, but very much needed to call this place your home. That's the feeling my time at Blivande and Frihamnstorget left me with, and of which I'm still recovering from.